Hello and welcome back. So, today we aren't going through and modeling all of the chess pieces. We are doing the dining table, the three books, and the pawn. Um, so, you will kind of see a couple things in here. Um, what I did for the table was something more simple. The good thing about that table, at least from a modeling standpoint, is that texturing will be kind of where all the magic happens, more or less. So when we get into texturing, when we get into like putting color and everything on there, that's going to be where we'll shine with like making it look and stand out like a fancier table. So then we have the book. So what happens there is it's just one model for a book, something more simple, and then model that, UV that, and then copy and paste it, change its scale a bit, make it wider, shorter, taller, etc., so that it looks like just different like book bodies, and then through copying and pasting those and kind of rearranging them, it can look like the house is more filled with books. And then something that's nice is that we'll be able to do probably 7 to 10 different like textures for the like spine and the cover of the book, because really the player will only be seeing the spine and the cover. For the most part, the player won't actually be physically opening the book. So when we get to that part of me UVing it, just a heads up, I go completely against what I said yesterday. And when I do the pages, because the book is just a cube with some extrusions for the cover and the spine, but the pages itself, I do actually break the like golden rule I said yesterday, and I do automatically unwrap the like quote unquote pages in the UV layout in the UV editor. So I I'm admitting it right here right now. I do use that automatic UVing, and again, I will say it is a bad idea to do so, but I believe I touched on it yesterday. Because the player will not see those pages, the player will not be like actually pulling books out and opening them and flipping them and everything. I, at least for me personally, can justify using this automatic way because it's not something that the player will see. So, and then on the topic of UVing, something I noticed in doing the voiceover is that for the voice, or no, the UV for the table, I do something that again is not a good idea. So let me like quickly break this down. So the table, I split it up into like planes. You have the top of the table. On the sides of the table, there's a left and a right, and then there's an underside of the table, and then there's like the kind of like leg of the table. It's the big thing underneath that would kind of support and hold the table up. So I split those down into the top, the left and the right sides, the underneath of the table, and then I split the legs into the inside part, which again the player will never see. So I just kind of kept all that together, and it will have a texture on it. In theory, the best thing to do would be to just delete those faces. They are taking up information and will make like a larger file in the end, having those faces there. I didn't delete them. A couple faces won't do a whole lot, but if you're making like a larger game, like Skyrim, um, if there's an object in Skyrim that never moves, like the statues or the columns, um, odds are when you go inside of the like statue and the columns, where they meet the ground and kind of like go into the ground, odds are there's no faces in there. Uh, and that's just kind of background information. But so I kind of break this down into the different planes, and then on the legs underneath, I have the inside part, and then I have, again, like the side of the table, I have a left and a right for that. So I break those down, I create those, and the mistake I do is I put the underneath part of the table on top with the like top plane of the table, as you all will see. So the reason why that's an issue is because that means that the underneath part of the table will have the exact same details as the top of the table. Like the top and the underneath will have the exact same details. And if you're looking at that, it's going to look weird. You will have like inevitably you'll have weird like stretching and weird like clipping issues with the texture. And if the player decides to be very inquisitive or explorative, really, and decides to actually like inspect and look at every aspect of the table, the player will notice that that detail they look the exact same, and it will throw off immersion. So after recording voiceover, I'm actually going to go fix that because I want this to be nice, and I want to show off good UVing, and I want to show like good texturing and like a good game making process. Um, so I wanted to go ahead and break that down and kind of point that out because it's good information to know. If you plan on 3D modeling and texturing and doing all this on your own, it's good to know and understand and see uh, issues and things to try to avoid, like what I did there. And again, like the automatic UV unwrapping. So that's one thing in the video that I can kind of, I guess, teach to the viewers. And then for the pawn, I did another big no no. And this is one that is, it's not as big a no no as the automatic unwrapping, but it's still something that you should avoid. When I made the pawn, I went into it without a reference image. So in the video, there is like a pause. I don't know if you'll be able to notice it when it's all sped up, but I pause, I open up Google, and I get a reference image. So whenever you're modeling or doing stuff like this, you need to have reference images. Whether you are drawing like an OC or something, whether you are like designing a new D&D character or something, or like something that I did when I made my D&D world is I looked at different references for religious symbols and symbols with a lot of like symbolism attached to them, as well as I looked through the official Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition books to look at symbols of pre-existing deities in D&D lore, and just kind of went through references for everything to kind of give myself inspiration. So when I started the modeling for the pawn, I started off without really knowing what a pawn looks like. So if you want to do 3D modeling and stuff on your own, please do yourself a favor, look up references, images. It's going to be so beyond helpful in the long run. But after this, we have the study table, which I actually remembered. I have a like study table asset that I've already modeled that I could just drag in here. So next episode, I'll kind of show that and drag it into this Maya file and kind of import a Maya OBJ. I think I'm going to do an OBJ and not an FBX. And then I need to texture that because it's not textured. And then we have the rest of the chess pieces: rook, bishop, knight, queen, and king. I think that's all of them. And then we take everything put it into Unreal, and we actually should be good. So next episode is going to be finishing the chess pieces and importing this table. So that's actually going to be a lot of fun. And then you guys will kind of get to see, I guess, like the importing process, and then the chess pieces will be done, and then we move to texturing. I can't remember if I said it last time or not, but texturing, I will just kind of walk you guys through my process for texturing, and I'll show you the different kind of maps used. I do remember saying this actually, but to finish the thought, I'll show you guys the process, show you guys the different maps, and then I will just do all the other texturing off screen and on my own time. That way, I just kind of save time for everyone. But this is five more assets technically. And again, because we're working modularly, these can end up just being copied and pasted everywhere. So five assets, really this is a plethora more, because once we copy and paste everything, the the mansion has two libraries, if you remember from the sketches from episode one. So we're gonna have a plethora of books. So those textures are going to be kind of important, and when we do texturing and stuff, I can kind of more point out why. But again, we're getting closer to finishing with all the modeling and stuff, and then it's texturing, and then it's all Unreal work. So should be pretty exciting and should be a lot of fun. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let's make a game together.